Good morning, everyone. My voice audible? Am I audible? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Yes, we'll continue with this application specific. In the previous class, we have discussed about the embedded system. We have started with the embedded system. Uh, we have discussed the basics about the embedded system, and then we have started with the typical embedded system, the second chapter. In that, we have discussed what is this pipelining, what is this different types of architectures, uh, different types of processors, load and store, pipelining. All these things we discussed. And also in the previous class, I have told you what is the use of this application specific ICs. What are the advantages with this IC? Why they come up with this application specific IC is uh, it is easy to develop. The cost wise, it is less, the development cost wise. And also, whenever it is there inside the embedded system, it takes very small area. That is looks good if it takes a smaller size in the total system. And but what is the problem with this application specific IC is in order to develop this technology, you require some investment. You have to pay for the developers, the scientists, for the components, and also for the configuration also, you require the expenses are there. This we are going to totally call as an non-recurring engineering charge. This you have to invest on this application specific ICs. NRE, NRE charges. They are called as non-recurring engineering charge. What is this non-recurring engineering charges? In order to develop this a technology like this application specific ICs. For some application, you will design one IC. For example, some refrigerator or some mobile phone, you are going to design. In order to design that technology, you have to invest. That is an investment charge. And also for configuration, also there is will be expenses. All these things we are going to call it as non-recurring. It is a one-time investment, yes, sir. But these charges will be there. And in the future, when I discuss other topics, I'll say where this non-recurring engineering charges are not there. ಇದಕ್ಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. But what they are going to do, they are going to put these charges on the people, those who are going to purchase. That is another thing. Okay. This is what ASIC, application specific integrated circuits. Now, there are programmable logic devices are there, which are available in the market. See, what is this programmable logic devices is where you can program. There is one more devices which cannot be programmed, no, you cannot change the program. That is fixed logic devices. There are two types of logic devices. All these logic devices, what they do some functionality. Some operations they are going to do. It can be signal processing or displaying the data or some timing information, controlling information, communication of the data, or device to device if you send the data. That is called device to device interfacing. See, this can be anything. All this that will be done by these logic devices. Those logic devices, inside there will be a program, a software. If that is been stored, that software has been stored during the manufacturing time, and if it is cannot be changed, then it is called as fixed logic devices. If you can program it whenever it is required, even when you deliver that device to the customer, in the customer home, you are going to change the configuration based on his requirement. If you can do like that, then that we are going to call it as programmable logic devices, where you can uh, Change. What are the things you can change? You can change the voltage characteristics, speed, the logic capacity, everything you can program it, reconfigure it based on this function. If there is an option like this to program it, then those devices we call it as programmable logic devices. Is it clear what is this fixed and logic devices? This programmable logic devices that you can change at any moment. Any characteristics you can change, even when the component is being delivered to the customer in his home, based on his requirements, you can change it. Because of this itself, because of this, there is for PLDs, programmable logic devices, there is no NRE cost. NRE cost ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗಿನ ಹೇಳಿದಲ್ಲ, ನಾನ್ ರಿಕರಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್. ಡಿಸೈನಿಗೆ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಕಾನ್ಫಿಗರೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, all these things, it is not there. And also you can complete it so faster. And this key benefit is, since you are go and discuss with the customer itself, and you are going to change based on his requirement, that too during the design phase itself, that will make the customer satisfaction, and also it is readily, quickly you can used by the customers. That is why in this, the device can be easily, you can reprogram it. That is why these programmable logic devices, they are so famous. Once the design phase is over, means the customer is satisfied with his requirements, everything is been included. Directly he can use it. In that programmable logic devices, there are majorly two types are there, which is called as an programmable logic devices. They are FPGAs, field programmable gate arrays. That is called as FPGAs, field programmable gate arrays, that we are going to call it as PLDs, or programmable logic devices, complex programmable logic device, that we are going to call it as a PLDs. Both you can program it. In both the things, what are there? Inside there will be a gates. What will be there in this FP programmable gate arrays? For what purpose we are going to design this? There is an application, like in the telecommunication department, or for signal processing, or to store the data. There are varieties of applications out there. For that purpose, we design this FPGA, and we can change the functionality in that. What is the advantage compared to these PLDs? This FPGA will give highest performance and more features compared to this programmable logic devices. And these FPGAs are, they are very fast, and even you have seen this type of devices in the real time in the home. If you have opened these so many components, hardware components, there you can see this programmable gate arrays. But what about these programmable logic devices? These logic devices, these are also used in the mobile phones or any digital handheld assistants, the devices they are going to use. What advantage is there with this complex programmable logic devices is, it takes very less power. If it takes very less power, means the cost wise it will be inexpensive. And those, if you are using programmable logic devices, they are always battery operated devices. And these devices, where you control something, the control applications, control some parameters, there you can use this type of CPLDs. If you open the CPLDs, then what you are going to get? You are going to get the different types of gates. Finally, we get different types of gates. What you should understand from this is, both CPLDs and FPGAs, both are programmable devices, logic devices. both will do some functionality. It can be data storage or it can be digital signal processing, anything, or some control operations. But which is most powerful, which is very fast, which has highest performance, more features, everything is FPGAs, field programmable gate arrays. You can tune it whenever you want. That is why it is called as programmable. Totally, the main advantages from this PLDs is it offers customers more flexibility because during the design phase itself, you can tune it however you want. And also, it does not take too much time also to come into production. And since we are going to give our requirements during the design phase itself, therefore there will be no larger NRE cost that will be put on the customer itself. The industry will not bear, even though if there is a NRE cost that they are going to put on the customers. If you use application specific ICs, there the customer has to pay the NRE cost. And also whichever the parts they require for their design, they can directly get it. Whatever they require, only that parts they can purchase PLDs. And even you can reprogram it even after it is been delivered to the customer. In this same way, you have seen these cards, commercial off-the-shelf components. Assume that you are designing one system. There is one board where you want TCP IP protocol. You want a TCP IP plug-in module. Means there is a device which requires some TCP IP protocol it is going to use. That motherboard you are designing, in that board you want that functionality, TCP IP plugin. Then what you should do is, you no need to develop that TCP IP a module. In the market, if you go and check, there is readily available. They are going to call it as COTS, COTS. COTS means commercial off-the-shelf components. This COTS product you can ask, I want the TCP IP plugin. There are so many different companies are there. The Viznet, HandRun, ViewTool, these are the different companies that they provide you this TCP IP plugin module. Plugin module means you can directly connect. What you should do on your board, you should provide a slot to connect. That's all. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಸ್ಲಾಟ್ ಒಂದು ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. ಆ ತರ ಒಂದು ರೆಡಿಲಿ ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ತಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದು ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆಯ್ತು. ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ನೀವು ಆ ಕಾಂಪೋನೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. The card products, for what purpose they are going to be used is, you can easily integrate with your existing system. You can easily integrate with the existing system. But there is a problem with this. What is the problem? Please think about these card products. ಈ ತರ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ಅದೇ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ, TCP IP ಪ್ಲಗ್-ಇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಯೂಲ್ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ವಿಸ್ನೆಟ್ ಕಂಪ್ನಿಯವ್ರು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಬಂದು ನಿಮ್ದು ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂತೀವಿ. ಆ ತರ ಆದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? ನಮಗೆ ಏನನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ, ಓಕೆ, ರೆಡಿಲಿ ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೋ ಚೀಪ್, ವಿ ನೋ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಟೈಮ್, ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಯುವರ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಕಮ್ ಟು ದಿ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ವೆರಿ ಈಸಿಲಿ. ನೀವ್ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಈ ತರ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀವು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟಿಂಗ್ ನಿಮ್ದು ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್? ಈ ತರ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಶೆಲ್ಫ್ ಕಾಂಪೋನೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗಳು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಪೂರ್ತಿ are you there? Purti,
Yes, sir.
what can be the advantage or sorry, what is the problem with this? ಈ ತರ ಈ ಕಾಂಪೋನೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗಳು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜಸ್ ಏನೋ ಇದೆ. ಚೀಪ್ ಆಗಿ ನಮ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಜಲ್ದಿ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟಿಗೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ತರ ಒಂದು ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ನಮ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಆದ್ರೂ ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ ಇದು. ವಾಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ದ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್? ಪಾರ್ವತಿ, ಸಿಂಚನ, ಪಾರ್ವತಿ, ಸಿಂಚನ. What can be the problem? Parvati Salera, are you there?
Yes, sir.
What can be the problem?
Sir, like maybe those are not compatible with our devices, and also it cannot be reprogrammed according to our requirements.
No. See, that functionality we are expecting, that is what we have purchased. Finally, we have got that product. Okay. Whatever we want, we have directly got from that COTS. And we have used in our product. We are developing one product. In that, it is one extra component that we have purchased from the market and we have placed on our board and we have used it.
So maybe security issues?
Security issues.
Yeah. And like you mentioned in the advantages,
Okay.
like it says like it's easily available and all, right? So
Okay.
that can also be a drawback. Like if they keep selling the same thing over and over, like they won't be able to update according to the business need or the market need.
It is half the way you are correct. Okay, I will add something to this. See, whenever a company provide this, whenever the company provide this product, see this one example is this one. See this one, a company which is providing Viznet, it is giving this device TCP/IP plugin module, and you can see at this side you will see some 12 to 13 ports, and the other side same 13 ports, and you are going to create a slot in that way itself in your in the product what you design. How many? 13 plus 13, 26 slots. And okay, you are going to design. Now there is a problem with this. If you want to change, if you buy the TCP/IP plugin from this another company, Freescale, or one more company, Dialog, it cannot be the same. This hardware plugin and firmware interface compatibility, it is going to be different from one manufacturer to the other manufacturer. In that case, you have to remove all the components and once again you have to design. Is it clear? Artha aita? Hardware plugin matte firmware interface compatibility same iralla ಒಂದು ವೆಂಡರ್ಗೂ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವೆಂಡರ್ಗೂ. ನೀವು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ವೆಂಡರ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತೀರಾ, ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತೀರಾ, ಏನೋ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ you should go for the another product from that same vendor itself. You should be stick on to that same particular vendor of that same COT product. You don't have an option to change. If you want to change means you have to redesign your product. Sinchana, it is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is what the problem. And also there is one more problem. If that company which is manufacturing that, example, this one itself, Visnet has designing this TCP/IP plugin. If they stop the manufacturing of that components, then what we should do? If we want to do some change in the technology, what we should do? It will also creates the problem. Continue the if there is a discontinue in the production of that system at any time, that will have an effect on the our product embedded system that we are going to design. These are all the problems. ಅವ್ರ ಕಂಪನಿ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಮುಚ್ಚೋಯ್ತು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಆ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ನಮಗೆ ಅವಾಗ ಸಪೋರ್ಟೇ ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವೇನೋ ಒಂಚೂರು ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನಕ್ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. You don't have a support. This is what the problem with the commercial off-the-shelf components. The problem. Use madak sulabha, cheap, all these things are the advantages. Still, there will be a problem with this kind of products. See, the next topic is all of memory. I don't want to discuss this memory. Once again, so much of basics they have discussed. What is the memory? What are the two types of memory? RAM, different types of RAM, ERAM, PRAM, double EEPROM, and also after that RAM. Once again, static RAM and dynamic RAM. These things that we have discussed in the microcontroller, some part. And also, you don't need too much of explanation from my side. If you have any doubts on this, you can ask. But I don't discuss on this. Once again, this memory, which is volatile memory, non-volatile, you can erase it, you can program it. The same thing we have to discuss here. That is why I'm not going to discuss about the memory part. I directly go to the next topic. See, what we have skipped is types of memory, ROM and RAM. Different types of ROM, different types of RAM. In different types of ROM, you have masked ROM, programmable ROM, PROM, EPROM means erasable PROM, and electrically erasable PROM, and one more flash. And in types of RAM, static RAM and dynamic RAM. These things we have to skip, and now we are going to directly the memory according to the type of interface. See, the memory, till now have said some list of memories, right? These list of memories, how we are going to connect to the processor. That is what we are discussing there. There are so many types of memories are there, ERAM, PRAM, static RAM, DRAM, SRAM. If these type of RAMs are there, what is an interface? What is the way of connection of this memory with the processor? There are so many types of connections are there. We use the word connection or we use the word interface. Okay. Parallel interface. There are different types: parallel interface, serial peripheral interface, or single wire interconnection. Mainly, you should remember these two: parallel and serial interface. What can be how can be the data will move in the parallel interface? I think these things you have studied in the registers in the ADE subject. You have discussed this: parallel in, parallel out, parallel in, serial out, serial in, serial out, right? The same thing. How the data will enter into or instructions will enter into the processor, or how the data will come out from the processor into the memory. How the communication will be there between the memory and processor. Parallel interface means directly, if it is an 8-bit processor, 8 bits you can communicate. There will be 8 different lines, D0 to D7. Then 8 bits at a time you can communicate.
Now, what is the size of the bus? In our case, in my system or in your system, it is 64-bit. Okay, it is 64-bit way of communication. Now, parallelly, you can send 64-bit and you can read 64-bit. The serial interface means a bit by bit it is going to enter. We don't say it is one bit. In the serial interface, they provide, there is a technology called I square T. What you see here, I2C, we should call it as I square T. This is an I square T is a technology. I square T, see, it is a bus in which how many lines will be there in that way is in that connection serial interface. It is two line serial interface are there. One is for clock, another one is for data. ಈ ಸೀರಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಫೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೇಟಾ ಹೋಗೋಕೆ ಒಂದ್ ಲೈನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಹೋಗೋಕೆ ಅನದರ್ ಲೈನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, this in that way we are going to connect between memory to the processor. Serial interface, one bit after the other. How many lines will be there? 2 lines. That technology we call it as I square C. Serial interface andre hange, parallel interface idu. If you say about the serial interface, which is very easy to develop and easy to use also. These serial interfaces, they are going to use, it is commonly used for data storage memories like in the EEPROM. See, if it is electrically erased PROMs, if you are using on your motherboard, ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮದರ್ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ EEPROM ಅಂತ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ EEPROM ಆ ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು ಯಾವ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಫೇಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸೀರಿಯಲ್ ಬಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೀರಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಫೇಸ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಬೀಂಗ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್. And if you say about the sizes, how much is the memory density in the serial memories? If you use the serial interface, we call it as serial memory. If you use parallel interface, then it is called as parallel interface memory. In terms of kilobits we speak in case of serial memory. In the same way, if we talk about parallel, because it is huge amount, that is why we say in terms of kilobytes. Data transfer ಆಗೋದು serial interfaces use ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅವಾಗ ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಡೆನ್ಸಿಟಿ ಏನಂತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಡೇಟಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ, ಅದನ್ನ ಇನ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೆಜರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಯಾವುದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಿಲೋಬಿಟ್ಸ್. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಲಲ್ ಬಸ್ಸಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರ, ಪ್ಯಾರಲಲ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಿರ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದ ಪ್ಯಾರಲಲ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಫೇಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್, ದೆನ್ ವಿ ಸೇ ಇನ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ kilobytes. They have given one example of Atmel Corporation's 8024C15. That is an example of serial memory where you can send this 512 kilobits. See here, it is a two wire interface. One is for clock, another one is for data. ಎಷ್ಟು ಡೇಟಾ ನಿಮಗೆ ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಡೆನ್ಸಿಟಿ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 512 kilobits. As we know, what is the main difference between this ROM and RAM? Which is faster? Yaad faster, yaad slower? ROM faster, RAM faster? Which is faster? Okay, let's say RAM is faster. Because of this reason itself, the RAM is faster, the ROM is slower. In order for this reason, and also wait, we are saying slower means execution speed. If you execute any program inside the ROM and inside the RAM, whenever you check the speed, the RAM speed, it is 3 times faster. 3 times faster means if the ROM takes 5 seconds to complete the execution, sorry, if the ROM takes 15 seconds to execute, the RAM will take just 5 seconds to execute. That is why we say 3 times faster. And also in terms of access also, whenever if you want to try to access the data, it is 3 times faster. Because of this vary in the execution speed problem, in order to solve that, there is a technology called this memory shadowing. Memory shadowing, it is a tactic where that will solve the problem of speed, execution speed. Where they will solve this, there is a scenario. We know one type of ROM called BIOS. BIOS ಕೇಳಿದಿರಾ? Basic input output ROM. What it contains? It contains hardware informations which are present in our system, and also it contains the addresses of the so many devices, and also whatever the devices we connect, plug and play devices, the USB port, the devices which we are going to connect, all those addresses will be stored in that BIOS. That is a ROM. Okay. In order to read from the ROM, what is the problem? It is slow, right? It is somewhat time consuming. It takes too much time to boot up then. For that reason, what we do is, behind the BIOS, there will be a RAM. That is why they say it is shadow. Behind the RAM BIOS, there is another layer called RAM. That RAM, what it is going to do is, it is going to do the work of the ROM. Whatever the BIOS contains the data, that will be copied into the shadowed RAM. I said there is one more RAM is there. One more means there is no one more RAM. This RAM is going to do all the things. This shadowed RAM, what it is going to do is, it is going to execute faster. You will feel that, okay, my system is very fast. The booting work is completed very fast. Boot up is over in few seconds. Your system is on. But what has happened is the shadowed RAM has done all the work. What are the changes you have to do in this is, even there is a problem with the this shadowed RAM. Or one more question is, instead of this BIOS, even though we know that is slower than the RAM, why we have stored the hardware configuration in the BIOS? ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು BIOS ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ತುಂಬಾ ಸ್ಲೋ, ಆದ್ರೂ ಅದರಲ್ಲೇ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ವೇರ್ ಕಾನ್ಫಿಗರೇಷನ್. ಈಗ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ಕಾಪಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು RAM ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬೂಟ್ ಅಪ್ ಆಗಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. What is the advantage? Why we have to keep at 2 places the duplicate copy of the code, hardware configuration? ಯಾಕೆ ಎರಡೆರಡು ಕಡೆ ಇಡಬೇಕು? ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ RAM ಗೆ ಇಡಬಹುದಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ, RAM ಗೆ ಕಾಪಿ ಮಾಡಬಹುದಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಆ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ವೇರ್ ಕಾನ್ಫಿಗರೇಷನ್. Anyone, what is the reason? Very good. That is simple. The answer is very simple. The RAM is volatile. It cannot store. Once you switch off the system, RAM is going to lose the data. Since it is volatile, that is why we have stored the hardware configuration in the ROM. Permanently, it is going to store. After that, we copy and we are going to execute. The ROM will hold it permanently. That is why we have stored it in the BIOS, and then for high performance, we have executed in the RAM instead of from the ROM. This is about adjusting this execution speed. But how to select the memory for any embedded system? ನೀವು ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು embedded system ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂದಾಗ ಯಾವ ಮೆಮೊರಿನ ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ವಿಚ್ ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್? ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅನ್ ಎಂಬೆಡೆಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೆಮೊರೀಸ್ ಇದಾವೆ, ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್. ಸ್ಟಾಟಿಕ್ ರ್ಯಾಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಡೈನಮಿಕ್ ರ್ಯಾಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಇ ಪ್ರಾಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಇ ಪ್ರಾಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಪಿ ರಾಮ್ ಇದಾವೆ, ಫ್ಲಾಶ್ is there. If there are so many types of memories are there, which type of memory you are going to use? That is the question. ಯಾವ ಮೆಮೊರಿನ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? One line answer for that question is, it is based on the application or the type of the embedded system. ನೀವು ಯಾವ ಎಂಬೆಡೆಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರ ಅದು ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಇಂಟೆನ್ಸಿವ್ ಅಲ್ವೋ, ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಅಪಾನ್ ದಿ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದಿ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಎಂಬೆಡೆಡ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಯುವರ್ ಮೆಮೊರಿ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. Usually one embedded system, it requires a place for program, that is called program memory, a place for data which holds variable or temporary data memory, and also some other information, configuration information ella store madak one memory ಬೇಕು. For all these things you require some memory. In order to select the type of memory in terms of RAM and ROM, it is all depends upon the embedded system what you are going to design and the application for which you are going to design. After once you select that also, you are going to think about what should be the size of the memory for the embedded system. A simple example they have given is some electronic toy, the cars what you use, the cars means toys. I'm talking about the toys. In that there will be a small memories will be there. For those type of toys design, you may require a few bytes of internal RAM, or there may be a flash memory or EEPROM. In that there is no need of external memory. Okay. And also there will be a microcontroller. With that microcontroller only you can interact with the memory, right? This microcontroller device that will satisfy your input output and also the memory requirements. If you use the microcontroller, what is the advantage? It inbuilt you will have a memory itself. Microcontroller means it has some input output support and also internally there is a memory. Either you can use a microcontroller or these RAMs, different types of RAMs, you can directly use it for those embedded devices. Example is this toy design I'm talking about. In the same way for real-time operating system, okay, the real-time operating system 100% you may require a huge amount of RAM, because why you require a huge amount of RAM? Because so much of processing will be there. That is why in order to store also you require ROM, and also in order to process you require RAM in this. If the embedded design, it is based on real-time operating system. Okay, these things we discuss in the next class. We will continue this discussion in the next class. Yes, now you can send your attendance. And if you have any doubts, you can ask, or else you can exit.